Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Millie, and on today's video I'm going to share with you some of the projects that I'm working on. I'm working on a few projects, but I haven't finished anything since my last video, and so that is what I'm going to share with you today. And I'm going to start by sharing with you my temperature blanket. So I'm all caught up actually with my blanket. I feel so proud of myself right now because I was a whole month behind, actually a month and a few days behind. And so I picked it up on a Saturday and I sat down and I crocheted all the rows, and I'm all caught up now. I'm actually 2 days ahead. Because I'm using my phone. I'm using the weather app on my phone to track my temperatures because I found that to be the easiest method for me. And so what I'm doing is I usually take screenshots of whatever days whenever I remember. And the weather app usually gives you like 10 days worth of temperatures. And so that is what I've been using. And then I usually will take that and then record them. And then when I pick up the blanket, then I'll look at the day that I picked it up and then kind of check the temperatures and see if it's balancing with what I have recorded. And if it's not, then I'll fix that. But mostly I've just been recording the temperatures and then picking up the blanket on a specific day and working on it. But I don't have a schedule. I'm just just going by how I feel, because sometimes I feel like knitting, sometimes I feel like crocheting, and sometimes I feel like, okay, you need to work on your temperature blanket, or you need to work on granny squares or whatever. So I just go by what I feel like doing. So I just follow the inspiration that I'm getting. And so I think that's why I was so much behind with the temperature blanket, because I didn't feel like working on it. And it has so many parts to it because you have this huge amount of yarn, and depending on how much the temperature fluctuates, you might have to have like 5 different colors, near you, so that you can change or switch every row. And that has happened before. But what I noticed was like I was going back and forth between the same colors. And then it started to get hot, and then all of a sudden the sequence changed, which I love. So this is hot, this color here is hot, and all these colors are a little bit colder. And so I think I'm going to start losing these colors, and I'm going to start leaning towards these warm colors because it started to warm up in the 60s. This is in the 60s, like the high 60s. And I've talked a lot about this blanket before, so I'm not going to talk much about it. Today, it's just an update. And if you'd like more information about this, I need some water. My throat is getting dry. So if you need more information about this blanket, you can find it in the video, one of the videos. I'm going to leave a link in the description below if you're interested in looking at the details of what I'm doing. But basically, I have like 300 plus stitches. I don't remember exactly how many stitches I have. And then I have about I think 12 or 13 colors. And then I'm doing linen stitch. So this is linen stitch, the first time doing it. And I started with this great idea of having tassels, and then I changed my mind. And I'm not very competent in crochet, so my edges are really not straight, but it doesn't bother me. I'm gonna fix that with the border that I'm going to add at the end, but they're not straight. But that doesn't bother me. I know it bothers some people, but for me, knitting or crochet is the way I relax, and it's the way that I express myself. And I am not going to stress about as having a straight edge, especially because this is the first time I'm doing this stitch, and it's the first time I'm doing a blanket that is this huge. And so I'm learning as I go, but I have been weaving in my edge as I go, and all that I have left will be to trim all these pieces of yarn that's left, but I've woven in all the edges as I go. And initially initially I was gonna have a tassel like I said before, but then when I decided I didn't want the tassels, I started to weave in my ends, and I think that will help me out at the end, because I'm not gonna be left with all these tails that need to be woven in. And so that is what it looks like. I love it. I'm enjoying it, and it started to grow really big. It's almost covering my legs as I sit at the sofa working on it. And it's heavy. So just quickly, this is the yarn that I'm using. It's impeccable, but it's from Michaels. It's by Loops and Threads. And so this is the line of yarns that I'm using. So what I've noticed with this yarn, it's the first time that I'm using it. It has a tendency to split. So it's splitting here and there. So sometimes I have to be very careful. I don't know. I don't remember. I think when I started, I feel like I wasn't splitting a lot. But then now I feel like it's splitting here and there. And I don't know. But I like it. It's light and it's affordable, which is a big thing for me. And so that is my temperature blanket. And then I'm going to show you the second thing that I'm working on. Okay, so the second thing that I want to show you is the progress that I have made on my socks. Because I want to finish this because I really, really need to cast on another pair of socks. And I promised myself that I'm not going to cast another pair until I'm done with this one. So I'm really working on this, and I'm giving myself this week, and I'm going to be done with this by the weekend so that I can cast on a pair, hopefully from one of my pretty yarns. And I'm going to use the pair that I'm going to cast on. I'm going to use merino wool. This one is just regular Cozy Toes, which is acrylic. It's actually, let's see, the component, it's 93% acrylic, 7% acrylic. That's what it is. It's stretchy because obviously it's designed for socks, but I miss knitting some wool socks. I actually just finished some socks that I was making for my mom, and then I decided to starch burst some of the yarn that I have here, and I grabbed this yarn. But now I miss working with merino for my socks, and so I'm working really hard to finish this. So I'm kind of trying to give it like 30 minutes a day, and that's about a few rows. And I'm actually almost to where I need to increase for the heel, and so that is what I'm focusing on. The first one is already done, so this one is going to be the one that I finish this week so that I can cast on some socks. So when I'm making socks, I always do them toe up, and then I use 2 circular needles, US 16 inches, these ones are US 0, and they're kind of sharp. So I've used zeros, I've used ones, and I've used 2. And these ones, I had to get used to working with them because I was poking my fingers quite a bit. But the other reason that I'm longing to finish these socks is so that I can start with needles that are a little bit thicker, so that I don't have to poke my fingers anymore. But I'm making good progress and I'm happy with it. And that's what I'm going to be focusing on. Probably taking this with me because it's a small project and I can just grab and take it with me. I can even put it in my purse because it's not that big. And so I'm going to focus on that and finish it, and then cast on some merino wool socks. Hopefully that will happen really soon. And then the third thing that I want to share with you is this granny square cardigan that I showed you these granny squares in my previous video, but I am so excited that I am done with the granny square parts and I joined them. I tried my best to align them, and I discovered that to work on granny squares, when it comes to joining them, you need to put everything aside and just focus on the granny squares, because I had to align them. I had to make sure that they're aligned properly, and then I had to kind of decide how I was gonna mix and match them, because I have a purple, a hot pink, a red, a peach, and what else do I have? And a red. So purple, hot pink, red, and peach. And then like I had to decide how to mix them so that they can look good. And these squares, these ones back here, the ones with a little bit of white, this one, and this one, I had put them at the front, but then when I put on the sweater, they looked so bright. And so I decided to hide them in the back. And so this, I've talked about this sweater in my previous video, and this is Jethro, and the designer is Tanis Fiber Arts. And you can buy this pattern on Ravelry, and it's going for $9, I think. But I got it on sale because I follow her on Instagram, and she posted that she had a new pattern, and I went and grabbed it. So I got it at a good price. But the thing that attracted me to this sweater is I have been trying to make a granny square for a while, and I wasn't successful because I am just now starting to make granny squares. So this is like, I've only made 2 blankets with granny squares, and then I tried to make a cardigan and I didn't like the way it was looking. And then when I saw this cardigan, I thought it was a good opportunity for me to test granny squares. And the other thing is the sleeves are going to be knitted, and the hem here is going to be knitted, and the button band is going to be knitted. So I felt like it was an opportunity for me to test the granny squares and see how I like it. And I also felt like with the sleeves being knitted, it will make it a more interesting piece for me. And so I am so happy with the way it's looking, and it actually fits me. I'm making a size 3. So I'm gonna put it on so that you can see. So it actually fits me really well. It's supposed to be a cropped cardigan. And I typically don't like cropped cardigans, so but she has instructions on how to make it longer, but I'm still thinking about that. I don't know if I'm going to make it longer or leave it as a cropped cardigan, because it's made entirely with merino wool, and usually when you block merino wool, it has a tendency to stretch. And so I don't know how much stretch it's gonna get once I block it. So I might just leave it as a cropped cardigan. And I'm thinking that I like this. If I like it a lot, then I'm going to make another one and make it longer, and maybe use acrylic yarn or some cotton yarn that I have in my stash. But the instructions say to pick up the stitches around the button band and then knit them but I think I'm going to knit my button bud separately and then sew it in there. But this is, I'm so happy with it, and I think it didn't take me that long to make this cardigan, which is also a plus, because once I pick up the sleeves, it shouldn't take me that long. And I think what took long was me to find enough time to just dedicate to sewing the granny squares together, because you need a big chunk of time to just lay them and then sew them and make sure they are all aligned. And I normally sew mine with a needle. I know some people like to do with a crochet hook, but I'm not there yet. So right now they're just sewn together with a needle, and I like that, and I like the way they look. But like I said, I'm trying to learn more crochet this year, and this is one of the things that gave me that opportunity, because now I feel like I need to go and explore a different kind of granny square, because these ones turned out really, really well. So that is all I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel and you're watching this video, consider subscribing and becoming part of the family. So until next time, happy knitting!